First of all, thank you everyone for coming. We got 21 people. That is awesome. Who's in here? Some friends. That's awesome. I will apologize. I am in Chicagoland, and we're getting like all 4 seasons of weather this very week, and so it's been kind of messing with my sinuses and throat. So if I cough a little bit, my apologies. But anyway, let's get on with the show. Oh, let me set my timer. I want to make sure that I don't talk too much because, as Mark can tell you, I'm a talker. Of course, he is too. So. Okay, so transitioning from WordPress to ContentBox, a powerful ColdFusion alternative. If you have questions as we go, please go ahead and ask in the chat. I will try and monitor that. If I miss something, Mark, please feel free just to interrupt me and chime in. So here we go. Oh, first of all, I want to say thank you to all the sponsors that we had at CF Summit last fall. Without them, we can't really do what we do. So look at the slide, ColdBox Solutions, Fusion Reactor, Exabyte Hosting, HostTech, Media 3, TechVersant, Foundeo, Orta Solutions, RIS, Web Services, and TerraTech. Thank you to all of them. If you're needing services for anything tech related and they can help you, please go talk to them. They'd love to talk to you. So first off, who am I? My name is Daniel Garcia. You probably all knew that. I am a senior developer at Orta Solutions. We are a web consulting company. You probably know us as the box people: ColdBox, CommandBox, TestBox, ContentBox, all sorts of boxes, every box except FuseBox. I also help co-host the Modernize or Die podcast. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. I've been using ColdFusion since 1999, which is version 4, way back in the LR days. I'm a cinephile, which means I love movies. I am a regaler of useless knowledge, which means I love trivia. And I'm a part-time non-traditional grad student at New Mexico State University. Go Aggies. Woo! Hopefully graduating this December. And then I'll be done with school for the rest of my life. Except for maybe certifications or whatever. Anyway, a little bit of shameless self-promotion because I can. Orta Solutions, ortasolutions.com is the company I work for. We're a web consulting company. We do everything from consulting to anything you need. Come talk to us. Come talk to me afterwards, whatever you had to talk about it. Also, as mentioned, the Modernize or Die podcast, ortasolutions.com/podcast. We used to do this every week. Then we kind of went to every other week. It's been a kind of a crazy year for us, and so it's not quite as scheduled as we normally do. But we try and do every other week. And if you tune in, you'll probably see me from time to time. A little bit more. One of my hobbies, I have my own radio show on Masters Radio, Pulp Track, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern. So yeah, because it's something fun that I do. Anyway, to the content at hand. So WordPress. If you don't know WordPress, most of you probably do. I mean, WordPress is pretty ubiquitous, but started as a blogging tool back in 2003. It's built with PHP and uses MySQL. It's open source, which is awesome. We love open source. Orta Solution loves open source. Everyone loves open source for stuff like web applications like this because you can just get it and play with it and go. It really evolved over time, though, from a blogging platform into a CMS. And as of this statistic, they have over 810 million WordPress sites out there, which is just crazy when you think about how many sites there are in the world and all that. The current version is 6.4, and it's free. You want to use WordPress, get up and running, it's free. I like free, you like free, we all love free. If it's free, I'll take 2. So what are some of the advantages? Because they do have advantages. WordPress is not a bad solution for a lot of things. I'm going to talk about some of that. So first, they have a huge ecosystem, lots of themes available. If you're trying to spin up a quick site with a theme and you're not a designer like me, I'm a developer, not a designer, I can find a theme and use it. There are a ton of plugins available. Same thing, if you want to add some functionality to your website, don't know how to code in PHP, or like me, don't really want to know how to code in PHP. I'm a ColdFusion guy. I'm sorry. Love ColdFusion. But there's a lot of plugins available. Non-tech users can manage content. You can set this up, get it to your client or whoever, and they can go in and play with the WYSIWYG editor and do stuff. There are tons and tons of hosting options. Everyone and their brother or sister seems to have a hosting offering out there somewhere. And it's cheap. And when I say that, you can host for like a couple $1 a month if you really want to. Now, the quality of that hosting depending on how much traffic you get. But the point is, you could get up and running very cheaply. And many hosting companies, they make it easy to set up. Go to the little control panel, click a button, and boom, you got it. And like with all things, something that's popular, a lot of people know how to work with it, meaning there's a lot of content, user-generated content out there, Stack Overflow, forums, and how to deal with things. Big user community. So some of the drawbacks. You really got to add plugins for many features. So because it's so modular, you have to like go find out all these different places. And if you add too many plugins, it's going to slow down your site because you're literally bolting all these things together. Now, for the most part, they play nice, but you know how it goes. You keep adding things, and then for some, you might get to a tipping point. Some of those plugins, you don't know who wrote them. They might not have the best quality code. Now, you can look at the reviews and see, when's the last time it was updated, is it maintained? A lot of people like it. That'll kind of give you a good guide. But if you get something with only a couple of reviews that has been updated a year or two, you probably don't want to use that. Many sites have to be updated regularly. And by this, if you're using a bunch of plugins and if you got a lot of sites and that plugin gets updated, you should update that everywhere. I've got about 15 WordPress sites that I run for myself, some friends, some clients, my own personal stuff, personal clients. And, it sucks when there's like a big security update and I got to go update 15 sites. So it's good they're fixing it, but also a lot of security issues because you've got the WordPress core, which they're probably pretty good about maintaining everything. But then you have all these other plugins and maybe they're not as knowledgeable on security best practices, or they don't keep up on what's going on, or maybe you're using an abandoned plugin, don't even know it. There's going to be security issues. Hackers like to target WordPress sites. There's over 810 million sites. That's a huge target on their back. If you're a hacker and you know how to do some things, you might want to target a WordPress site just because you can. And a lot of people, if they don't know WordPress, they don't know servers, they don't know how to properly secure a website. And so just something to kind of keep in mind. You get up and running quickly, which is great, but if you don't know how to lock it down properly, that can bite you. And like I mentioned, many plugins do get abandoned over time. And if you want to do anything custom, you got to know PHP. I'm not saying that PHP is a drawback per se, but if you don't know it, it's a drawback. And if you don't like coding in it, like I don't like coding in it, it's a drawback. Okay, so why do I sometimes use WordPress? Because I do. I'm a ColdFusion guy, but I use WordPress sometimes. It's cheap to host. Sometimes I got a friend, they want a quick site. I'm doing them a favor. I don't want to build them a custom solution and spend a bunch of my time on it. So I'm going to spin them up a WordPress site and host them cheap, and I'm helping them out. I'm being a good friend, but I'm also not, being tech support for everybody in my circle. I can set it up quickly. I don't need to do any custom development. It's very turnkey. There are actually a lot of nice themes available. Many of them are free, some cost. Right now, Avada is my favorite WordPress theme. It's not free. It's like $80, I want to say, for the year, but it's awesome. If you can do all sorts of stuff, all sorts of features and slideshows, and I can set up a website now, install Avada on it, give it to my wife, who's not a developer, but she's a content manager, and she can just take that and go nuts with it and do everything she needs to do, which is great because I don't want to do that. And of course, the sites I do it for, they don't need a lot of custom development. It's all fairly, regular sites. So when would I not use WordPress? Excuse me. So if there's any custom development to do, I'm not going to use it. And I don't mean tweaking a config setting or commenting something out in a theme. That's not real development. If I have to build something from scratch, I'm not going to use WordPress. I don't want to. I'm a ColdFusion developer. I think I mentioned that once or twice, as I'm sure many of you in here are also ColdFusion developers. If the client is paying me more, I'm going to make sure I build them the best app I can build them, and I'm not going to rely on WordPress, especially if they want something custom. I'm going to build it for them. Or if they need a more robust site, if they need to be more secure or scale both horizontally and vertically. I'm a ColdFusion professional. I know how to scale and secure ColdFusion sites and servers and all that. whether it's vertically, horizontally, whatever. I can do that. I've got that. I don't know how to do that with WordPress. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap, but that's just not where my expertise lies. And I am a CF professional as of CF Summit 2022. Went to Summit, did the class, got certified. So looks like I'm going to be expiring this year, though. So I got to figure out what to do next. Anyway, what would I use instead of WordPress? Anybody? Can you guess? ContentBox. No, not Drupal. I was going to say Drupal, Terry, just to be a smart aleck, but yes, ContentBox is what I'm going to use. I'm not going to use text files. I'm not going to use Markdown or Mark Takata for that matter. I'm going to use ContentBox. So what is this ContentBox that I speak of? It's really several modules put together. It's a CMS. It's a content management system, but it's comprised of different modules that work together like the super friends to make a website. So you got the installer, the admin, the core, the UI, anything custom you want to do. So it's a modular hybrid CMS. Modular meaning you can add modules. We have modules. You can write your own modules, extend it. It's professional open source. So what does that mean? That means it's free. You can have it, and it's professionally supported by Ortus Solutions, the company I work for. We've got quite a user community. If you need help with things, or if you're stuck, or if you just want us to pay us to do it for you, we can do that. That's what professional open source means. We can support you professionally. Don't need to use us, but you can. It's built on the ColdBox HMVC. If you're not familiar, ColdBox is an awesome ColdFusion framework for building applications. HMVC, model view controller, hierarchical. If you're looking to build a new modern website and you want to use a framework, I strongly recommend ColdBox. I know there's others out there. I'm a ColdBox guy. I worked for Ortus. Before I worked for Ortus, I was a ColdBox guy for years. In fact, that's how I came to work for Ortus. So I liked it so much, I joined the company. It does use Hibernate or for the database stuff. It's powered by CFML. Woo! You deploy it on any Java server, which makes sense because you can deploy ColdFusion on any Java server. As of 2015, there's been 30 plus releases, and version 6 was released in December of 2023. Now, I'm not going to go over the new version features or whatever. This is more of an overview of ContentBox itself. And it's free. Like I said, I like free. You like free. We all love free. If it's free, I'll take 2. Anyway, so yeah, HMVC, hierarchical model view controller. I pronounced hierarchical correctly this time. I practiced that. You're welcome. I care. I show that I care. You can deploy it anywhere. If you've got CommandBox, you can use any CFML engine, Adobe CF, whichever. If you don't know what CommandBox is, please come talk to me after the formal presentation is over. CommandBox is awesome. Awesome, awesome. Can't stress that enough. One of my single favorite tools to use is CommandBox. You can do a Java service, package up as a WAR file, and deploy it anywhere. Or you can do a container. Anywhere Docker images are accepted, just like American Express. You can spin up a Docker container and deploy your ContentBox site, which means Docker, right? It's anywhere. Okay, so modularity via ColdBox modules. There's that ColdBox word again, right? ColdBox, ColdBox, ColdBox. So all the pieces of ContentBox are really all these different modules. You got the admin, the UI, front-end API, the core. If we've got other modules for like e-commerce, API, things like that, or build your own. You can use the ContentBox framework to build your own modules to do whatever you need it to do. The main namespaces, if you go to the site, the / is the main website. If you want to write an API, you can use the CB API namespace and write out your APIs there. Or if you want to log into the admin or go to the blog, you've got all these different namespaces. So we say modular deployment. What that means is you don't have to have all the modules on the same space. In fact, if you want to be more secure and lock things down in your DMZ, you could have either the ContentBox API, if you're powering headless, use it as a headless CMS, or the ContentBox UI, which is the front end portion of the website. And then behind your DMZ, you got the database. Obviously, that's protected, but you can actually put the admin behind the DMZ, so it's not available publicly. So you can really mix and match and move this wherever you need. It's more secure. Security is a big thing with us. If you think of Ortus, you think of documentation first, because Luis is nuts about documentation. But after that, you should also think security, ColdBox, best practices, and modernization. That's what you should think of when you think Ortus. So scheduling, got lots of options to schedule, either at the main application, or if you're building modules, you can have schedules within each module. And again, this is that hierarchical concept. You can build modules within modules like Inception, and they can all do all sorts of cool things and inherit and do whatever. I do want to point out, I know this sounds very complicated, and it is, because like with anything, Ortus does, it can solve all your basic problems, but how often do things stay simple? Not really that often. So knowing that your solution can scale and grow to do all sorts of things that you might need later, it's nice. You don't have to start over later. And then if you want to schedule content, I'm not going to go really through this, but it's just showing you have an expressive way through code. This is a scheduler CFC. You can kind of define the different areas and do your schedule. ContentBox is not blocking async. So once you save stuff, it just does its thing. You don't have to wait on it. It's multi-site. So you can manage one or thousands of sites. Actually, I've not seen thousands of sites managed. I've not personally done that, but you can do it. It's multi-site. You can detect based on the URI, the query string, the header, all things that you can use to say get to site A versus site B. You can copy and move content between sites. You have one instance, you can run multiple websites, and you can move content around. You can assign different users to different sites. And this makes it very handy if you want to have staging and production in one box. So if I got a website, I have staging.mysite.com and then production.mysite.com or mysite.com. I can have a staging site to do all my work, and then once everything's good, I can go ahead and copy that content over to the production version. It makes it nice and easy to work with. A hierarchical headless content store. So that means is within the admin, you can manage all the content how you normally would, but it's really more than just pages and blogs. It's a hierarchical content store. So whatever you can build within the content store, you can use. You can use it for headless operations, different ways of publishing it. You've got an expressive API that you can call to grab that content. And it can really power any web app, mobile app, or whatever. You don't have to use the ContentBox front end for a site. You can purely just use the API if you wanted to. Or you can use it for both. Power the front end and power a headless or a mobile app or whatever. So we talked about the headless CMS. So we do have a very expressive RESTful API. We secure it with JOT tokens. So once you get authenticated, just keep setting that JOT client token header to us, and we'll keep authenticating you and allow you to access the content. It is powered by ColdBox security, permission-based access control. It is completely documented. As I mentioned earlier, here at Ortus, we are documentation crazy. Some of us more crazy than others, Luis, Brad. But no, it's really, if we're going to go through the effort of supporting something and putting it out there, we want to have it documented. You're going to have questions. You got to have a place to go, really. And honestly, we got to have a place that we can go to. We have a lot of stuff we do. We got to have good documentation. If you don't have good documentation, then go make good documentation. Anyway, off my soapbox. Connect to pages, blog of the content store. You can deploy it as a module, and you can consume it from any language. Meaning, if you've got a JavaScript front-end website running, say, Vue.js, you can make those API calls and consume that content. If you got a Java site, a PHP site, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a REST call. The front end does not care what the back end does because you're using a standard REST call format. Also a headless CLI. CLI means command line interface, and not a CLE, as my coworkers like to make fun of me for saying. By that, it's built on ContentBox. ContentBox, if you don't know what it is, talk to me afterwards. It is awesome. It's basically, if you're familiar with Node, think of ContentBox as what Node does for those people. ContentBox does it for ColdFusion. Tons of stuff, run servers, run all sorts of things. And we've got ContentBox modules built into it, meaning you can just spin up ContentBox with the ContentBox modules, and you can install a data or install a whole ContentBox site using whatever engine, any database. You can update content. We've got wizards that'll create modules, widgets, and themes, meaning it'll stub it out. Say I want to do a new module, I run the command, and it stubs out all the framework for a new module. Now, ContentBox is not going to read your mind. It's not going to write the module for you. I would not be surprised if someday Brad Wood in his mad scientist hat figures out a way to make ContentBox do that, but probably not anytime soon. It can connect to your headless instances, manage the different endpoints, and really manage your ContentBox instance. Thanks, Mark. You're going to pronounce it as CLE. That's two of us. I will warn you, they will make fun of you, but don't let that keep you down, man. And you can publish and consume content. Okay, so high focus on security. As I mentioned, we love security. And this is kind of going over what I said before. You can put the REST API in front or in your DMZ, the UI in your DMZ, but everything else can be hidden and protected within your network. So I think for like some, well, I'm not going to talk out of school here, but not all content management systems do that. Many of them are all or nothing. You install it, you get everything, and that's it. With WordPress, actually, I think you can separate it. I've never tried. But I believe with WordPress, you could separate front end from back end and lock down the back end. I don't know about some of the others. I'm not going to comment. It's just, it is what it is. This is what we do, and it's a good thing. Search. So we do have our built-in database search, much like you'd expect. But we also have integration with Elasticsearch. So it means you can index your blog, your pages, your content store, your documents, PDFs, Word, images. You could do ranked results. Say, hey, this match 80% scale weight of what you're looking for. Search via theme, search via the API. I personally haven't done much with Elasticsearch. I've seen demos. I've seen people like John Clausen, who does Elasticsearch everything, do really cool things with this. So I know, again, like all things, ContentBox, the whole kitchen sink. Maybe I don't need the whole kitchen sink today. I only need part of it. But knowing that it's there for when I grow is awesome. So it's scalable and elastic. By that meaning it's cloud aware. You can use any caching engine, whether that's Couchbase or Mongo or EHCache or Elasticache or Redis. You've got a lot of flexibility in what you can do. Elasticsearch is high redundancy. So depending on what caches you have and how it's set up, you can do a very scalable vertically or horizontally for what you need. You can cache everything, whether that's models, your singletons, your ORM stuff, your settings, whether that's your content, your markup, your media wiki, your markdown, your custom, your mark Takata. I'm sure we could cache you, Mark. Your content output, the final rendered HTML output, similar to what Varnish might do. Render the entire page, cache the content. And then RSS feeds, you create that on demand. And so as mentioned, you got the different caching engines. And many, many, many more features. You have a layout manager. You can easily switch between styles. You can export the content, JSON, PDF, Word, HTML, whatever you need it for. You can preview it live. You have responsiveness. You can reuse widgets, markdown, native support. So a lot of times, CMS, you're familiar with the whole WYSIWYG editor, like a CK editor. You can do your WYSIWYG view. But we also have a markdown support. So if you like coding in markdown, you could do that. Use all your funky markup and stuff, and it supports it. So if you're doing stuff like it supports markdown. I haven't quite adapted to markdown yet. but I'm getting there. Two-factor authentication. That goes back to that security. Set up your site, multi-factor. And really, I'm going to get on my soapbox again. Whatever you're working on, I don't care what it is. If you've got the ability to enable two-factor authentication, just do it. Just do it. Sometimes it can feel like a hassle, but it's more of a hassle getting your account hacked and having somebody really mess with you. So do it, whether you're using ContentBox or WordPress or AWS or DigitalOcean, anything you're using, Google, enable multi-factor, two-factor authentication. Just do it. We've got event-driven hooks for pretty much almost anything. Different UI settings for any custom layout theme. So if you make a theme and you want to make some things driven by data points, you can do that. And then have the data in ContentBox and say, change this value to that value or whatever. All sorts of template hooks. You can apply mobile layouts to content objects. Content inheritance. So if I got a piece of content here, then I can have it inherit from a one higher up. Again, mix and match and build. You can view the code and widgets. There's a WYSIWYG editor with media content. I know there's a lot of stuff, people, and there is. I'm sorry I'm kind of going through this. The point of this session is to kind of give you the overview. So hopefully you'll be interested enough to find out more. Cash is sold 2019. Everyone's Daniel Garcia coin. If only, Mark. Why don't you start that up? Then we can both retire and go live the life cashing off the beach or something. And as always, you can add your global whatevers pretty easily.
So that's sorry to interrupt, Daniel. There was actually a really good question before my stupid comment. Terry asks, what about importing content from WordPress into ContentBox?
We don't have that updated, I believe. And what I mean by that is older versions of ContentBox, we did have that. I know we were working on updating that at one point. I actually don't know the status of that. I'm sorry. And in retrospect, you think that would have been a great thing for me to look up. Yeah, so sorry about that. If you want to contact me offline, Terry, or if you're in the CFML Slack, or if you're in the Box Team Slack and just ping me, I can try and work internally to see where we are with that. John Clausen, that's the name. If you don't know, you probably should. Just everyone should know John Clausen. I believe he was doing a lot of work with that. I just don't know where we're at with it. So I'm sorry about that. At the end of the day, though, that's all databases. So worst case, you can always figure out a way to, if you can extract it from WordPress and then either just insert it right into our database, or even better yet, make our API calls to create the content. There might be some things you can do. But right now, I don't think we have that one click and it's done. So, oh man, we'll see about that, Mark. I gotta learn it. Any other questions about ContentBox before I move on to the next section? People are typing. Man, lots of people are typing. I'm not doing a demo today because I don't have enough time to. I would try to plan this out to be about 40 minutes or so with everything and talking and discussions and Q&A, with the idea that once we're done, I'll stick around for 10, 15 minutes. They can stop the recording. We can just chat about whatever. Kind of like if you're at a real conference or a in-person conference doing it, I always like to stop early because people always want to come up and talk to you afterwards, which is awesome. I want to make sure I give time for those people. So no demo today, sorry. The documentation, if you go to, I'm going to give a slide that has some of this on there, ortusbooks.com, or specifically contentbox.ortusbooks.com. It's a Git book format. It's all in there. Whether or not you can download it as a giant PDF, I don't think so. I don't know. We can certainly go look later. But it is fully documented. Is there a plugin available just from WordPress to ContentBox or versa? Raheem. Yeah, that was the same question that Terry was asking. I don't think there is right now, but I'm going to have to check with my team and see where we are with that. There used to be, but then we did some upgrades and other things. You know how it goes. Other things take priority, and And with many things, if there was a client that wanted it, you bet we're gonna like go and make that, but nobody's really asked for it, and so it kind of got lower on the priority list. Um, it's just the way it is. Let's see, any other questions before I keep going? Is there a demo video we watch? Not that I have. I should have. Man, you people are way more on the ball than other people that attend my presentations, or you all are just paying way more attention than other people have. Hey, Mark, is this the kind of thing where after the presentation, I can have an email sound or message put out there with some of the stuff, or like a follow up thing?
Yeah. After your presentation, we can find some content for people, maybe some links. We could do all that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely want to share some of the links on the slide anyway.
Yeah, perfect.
But okay.
Ooh, that's a good question too. How about Muramasa to ContentBox?
Pretty sure we don't have that. I remember WordPress ones, but I don't think there's anything with Muramasa to ContentBox. But you know what? I can bring it up. I'm just making my notes here.
Yeah, folks, let's hold our questions until Daniel comes to the end of his presentation, because we've still got another at least 10 minutes, I think, for him to go through his slides, and then he's going to stick around for about 10 or 15 minutes. So we can jump into questions then.
Yep, sounds good.
We've been on this slide for a while.
I know. Hey, to be fair, it's my fault. I asked them, and so
no worries.
Okay, so we're actually getting fairly close to being done. So part of the presentation, I want to talk about hosting in a cloud environment. And so I'm going to talk a little about DigitalOcean. I don't know if you know what DigitalOcean is. I'm going to tell you. It is cloud hosting. It's an infrastructure as a service provider, meaning you go to them, they give you the infrastructure, then you just put your stuff on there and use it. It is an alternative to AWS and Azure and Google Cloud and any other cloud hosting provider out there. It's just another alternative. What I like about it, their droplets are small, really just small VPSs. Now, asterisk, Windows only. Oh, I'm sorry, Linux only, not Windows. So if you need a Windows solution, DigitalOcean, I don't believe is going to work for you. But you can run Docker. So any place you can run Docker stuff, you can run it there. And they have a marketplace just like AWS with lots of images. And what's cool is it can cost as little as $6 per droplet. Now, full disclosure, if you're trying to run a production ContentBox site, you're going to need more than a $6 droplet, depending on how much resources you need. That'll be the database, how many visitors you get. But just overall, as a service provider, if you want to spin up a ColdFusion, whatever, any kind of whatever, you can start out very cheap. Yes, Vultr is another one. So really, depending on what you need, you may need more resources depending on the app. So now we're talking about ContentBox here, but you can easily go get our Ortus Docker image with Adobe ColdFusion and spin it up and then run all your ColdFusion goodness there. So why use DigitalOcean? It's low cost to get started. Like I was saying, if you want to get a droplet, just start playing. I think it's like $6. At least last time I played with it was like $6. Predictable pricing. I'm only going to pay for like the things I know. Where you get in trouble with AWS is everything's a la carte. And yeah, I'm paying for this server, and I need to pay for this, and I need to pay for that, and I need to pay for that. And all of a sudden, you've got lots of different things charging you. I have that problem right now at AWS. I'm trying to figure out how to get a handle on it. You can quickly spin up environments, but to be fair, you can do that with others as well. Sorry, I warned you at the beginning this was gonna. You can roll your own or use their managed services like a database server. If you want to install your own database server, you can do it, or they have hosted ones. It's less complicated than AWS. You can use the marketplace. And really, if you just want to learn or have more control of their hosting, And although I do say it's simpler than AWS, there's still a little bit of a learning curve. So it's not like you're just going to go there and instantly work. But when I say simpler, it means there's less other things. AWS, there's a ton of stuff, and it's easy to get lost in the 100 and however many offerings they have. DigitalOcean, much smaller. So why not use DigitalOcean? And really, this could also be our cloud provider in general. It's more complicated than managed solutions, meaning if you need somebody to do all your setup for you, you don't want to do that, or you're not comfortable doing that, it's going to be more complicated. There's a learning curve. The managed solutions offer some valued services. So what I mean by that is, if you notice on our sponsors deck, way back when, we've had some different hosting providers like XBite and so forth. You could pay them, and they would love to spin you up a virtual server and do all the management for you and be there 24/7 and hold your hand, and they would do that for you. But and some other people might need that, and you might want that. They can handle your mail servers, all your licensing. They can do everything. Support. Like I mentioned, several sponsors to talk to, but it's cost versus convenience. If you want all that, it's awesome to have, and they do a great job, but you're going to pay for it. Where if you can do it all yourself, and maybe you're not running, mission critical sites, maybe you're running a hobbyist site or a smaller client that it's not mission critical if they're down for a little bit or something happens, then maybe you don't need to pay that much. It's all about needs. Yes, Google does as well. I'm not familiar with Google's offerings, but yeah. So how to get started? Create an account. If you don't have an account, go create one. In fact, if you use this tinyurl.com/trydio, DigitalOcean trydio, that should get you a $200 credit for 60 days. So you can go nuts. You can go play. Don't use more than $200 in 60 days. And if you are doing a bunch of stuff, just remember, after 60 days, kill it. Shut it down unless you want to keep using it, because don't forget about it and start paying money for it. Website, DigitalOcean.com. They got lots of docs DigitalOcean.com. DigitalOcean community tutorials. So ContentBox on DigitalOcean, yes. Somebody I think was asking, where's the best place to run ContentBox? The question is, or the answer is, depends. What do you need? If you're running it through Docker, you can really run it anywhere Docker can run. It's really up to you. If I was going to give a suggestion, you can use DigitalOcean. In fact, ortasolutions.com is a website that runs on ContentBox and is hosted at DigitalOcean. At Ortus, we eat our own dog food because we want to make sure everything works and all that. So you can start with the drop and install CommandBox, or just use Docker. If you really want to get started, you can download CommandBox, install ContentBox locally, spin it up, and have everything local, and just start playing with it right on your computer. We do have some Ortus Docker images you can use. Hub Docker, look for ContentBox, CommandBox, or if you just want to install it yourself or have other ColdBox apps, you can do that. The simplest way, honestly, is either use CommandBox or use Docker. That'll get you up and running as quickly as possible. I would encourage you to play with it. And as always, if you want help, come to us. We have different forums, community forums, ask questions. We like to help. We have an awesome user community at Ortus that we like to help each other. And then if you have questions, we'll answer. And if you find yourself that, hey, you know what, you need more help than what you can do on your own, talk to us. We can talk about more paid support. Okay, now questions. Okay, Terry's like, Google Workspace is nice, but it's more bit involved. Absolutely. And to be fair, AWS is more involved and Azure is more involved. DigitalOcean is simpler when it comes to, thinking about the cloud. Yeah, Ortus actually has like a whole Docker swarm set up in DigitalOcean with all our different servers and services and redundancy and failovers, and they've got quite the network we manage as a group. I say we, it's other people I work with. I don't play with that part as much because they all have that set up, but that's what we do, and we're more than happy to talk about that at some point. Any other questions right now?
I think we have a couple people type in an essay.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're in trouble. I have a question actually for you about DigitalOcean, because that's not something I have a lot of experience with. How is their like their dashboards? Like, do they do a pretty good job like letting you know how much you've used, where your costs are coming from, that sort of thing?
Yep. Well, what's cool about DigitalOcean is say you're doing a droplet and you know you're
Yeah.
paying X dollars a month for the droplet, that's your cost. They're not going to
Oh.
get you a bunch of hidden costs. And then when you
Okay.
go to the droplet, you can see the resources, memory usage, storage. So with the droplet, usually you have to have the droplet itself, which is think of it as a server, and then usually a storage volume for your data. And but that's really it. I'm not going to show a demo. I am not a DigitalOcean expert. I'm a user, just like a lot of us here. We've got people in the community that are DigitalOcean experts. Gavin Pickin, Gavin, everyone's favorite Kiwi.
Oh yeah.
He uses it quite a bit. In fact, Gavin's my go-to guy. Gavin's my go-to guy for a lot, actually. He is awesome to work with, and we've become pretty good friends. But he's always happy to answer questions in the Slacks. We had other people as well. But yeah,
very cool.
Let's see. So DigitalOcean is $4 a month. So yeah, it might depend on if you're an East Coast, West Coast, what the droplet is, how much memory. So you're right. If you just want to play with droplets, regardless of the app, you can start out very cheaply. I'm just going to give the caveat that if you want to run ContentBox in production, the $4 droplet's not going to cut it. But if you're just playing around doing stuff, and absolutely start with that, because you can always scale up. Just like other cloud providers, start with this, and then scaling up means picking, another droplet to upgrade to. It's easy to make snapshots of your images. It's easy to migrate, all that stuff. Do you offer hosting services? Managing hosting service in DigitalOcean. Yep. So that's something we were working on. I have to check the status of it. It feels like we've been working on it. Then I can tell you, as a company, Ortus Solutions does offer DevOps support. In fact, we actually have clients that come to Ortus just to manage the infrastructure, the hosting, everything else. So Ortus can do anything from just some basic consulting to help you learn how to use ColdBox or troubleshoot something, to doing everything for you, soup to nuts, to doing like development augmentation, to doing your DevOps. It really depends on what you need and how much we can help you. We've got one client that I'm working with that I was very involved with, migrated them from a traditional hosting company to AWS, set up all their servers, all the configuration, set up their CI/CD, completely modernized their workflow, and we do all their DevOps support. And then they've got developers that do their main core development, and then we help out with supplemental development, things like that. So really, lots we can do. It just depends on what you need. If you had a CS management theme set, another CMS, how would it be to convert? Again, it kind of depends on the theme set. What I would probably do is on the other site, have the whole render the page, view the source, save it off, starting with that. Now you've got your fully rendered HTML template, and then I would grab whatever images and CSS, whatever you need. From there, look at the ContentBox theme and how the different pieces align, and then start slicing up your HTML to match the ContentBox theme. So you have your header goes here, your footer goes there, your body goes there, and you can integrate it that way. That's probably the easiest, quickest way to start. Basically, take the fully rendered source, slice it up, and get it to your different components it includes. Am I missing anything else? That was Raheem. That was Bill. Terry. Custom Wilcher. Okay. I'll give another quick minute, and then we'll move on to probably the most important part of the presentation. I think you would agree, Mark.
I agree with that. Yes. Excitement is building.
All right. You know what? I'm going to move on, and if you have questions, I will still be here after. So some of the resources I talked about, our website, the different URLs. And Mark, maybe it's simpler just to be able to send this. I can give you a PDF or an online link for this, and we can send that as well. To
sure, yeah, send it over. I'll try to get that out to folks.
So this slide, or if you want to take a screenshot of it, it has all the different resources, the community website, the documentation, how to get on our Slack. If you're not on Slack, there's a CFML community Slack. You can go to, we have a Box Products channel there. You can ask questions. I'm on there. Mark's on the CFML Slack. Ortus has its own Slack, Box Team Slack that you can go to where it's more specific to our product offerings and things that we do, and you can ask questions there. And then we've got the different community forums and other things. So lots of places to find us. Okay. So it's drawing time. So I see 34 people in the participants. Is that what you see?
That is what I see. Okay, nobody move. No, nobody disconnect. If you disconnect, you're gonna miss out.
Okay.
All right. So Daniel's going to use an amazingly high-tech piece of kit here.
Okay, so we've got a number 1 through 34. We're going to do a spin, and the number that gets picked is the number that wins a $50 Amazon gift card courtesy of Adobe.
Woo! All right, round and round she goes. Where it stops, only Daniel knows.
Oh,
well, actually, I guess we'll see it too.
Figure's going to pick a high number.
Oh, 31. Oh, God, there's a lot of counting. I'm going to let you count it.
Okay, well, that should be
3 from the bottom.
Yep. So if this is 34, 33, 32, 31 is Steve R. Steve R.
R is
Are you there?
Big winner. Yes.
I gotta say, Steve R., I hope you're there because we need to know how to contact you because you signed up as a guest. Oh, look, he is there.
He is. Steve R. Okay. Apurva will get in contact with you to get your email information.
Yep. So don't just be, I'm a winner and leave because you're not going to get your gift card.
That's actually happened, actually. That did happen at least once. And then they had to find me. They were like, I got excited and I left.
So yeah, so Apurva and Steve hook up and you can get that gift card, and thank you to Adobe for doing that. And Perfect. If you do need an awesome, little wheel of names spinner, you can put names down. We thought it'd be too difficult to put everyone's name, so we just did the number. It's simple.
Yeah, a lot of typing. There's not enough time for that.
Yep.
Time
for typing.
Are you going to be joining us in DC?
I am not. Let me finish, and then we can talk about whatever.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for attending. I know you've got lots of things you can do with your day, and we appreciate you flying the Adobe skies. Again, my name is Daniel Garcia. I'm at Ortus Solutions, D. Garcia at Ortus Solutions. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, I'm Daniel J. Garcia on LinkedIn. Feel free to link into me.